Okay, so this is I haven't made a video for a while, and this isn't going to be a favorite of my videos. Half of the reason why I'm doing this is just so that I have a personal diary, but let's see how long that'll be useful because I'm just going to let you know that some bad things are going on. I mean, potentially bad things anyway. Um, I may be cursed by God. That's the number one thing. Um, I guess the reason for that is multiple, but I'll start with my health issues. I guess it's hard to say you're cursed by God when you neglect your health entirely, which I've pretty much done I was doing anyway, for quite a few months earlier this year. Yeah. I live here with my dad and my roommate, and my dad goes once a year to Mexico for a few months. And when he's gone, I usually go play basketball with him and we get some exercise together, but I don't get much exercise when he's gone. And my roommate doesn't usually like to work out with me for whatever reason. So I stagnated a lot early part of this year. And I feel like the chickens are coming home to roost, probably. I'm sure it's not really a curse from God. It's just my own irresponsibility in the situation. But I've got several problems. One, I have the condition that requires preparation age. Yes, you know what that is. And don't act like some of you don't have it, because I know, young and old, it is a scourge on humanity. So there's that, and I'm trying to figure out if that's the problem I've been having lately, or if it's that I have actual colon cancer, which is a possibility at this point because I used to only. I'm sorry, this is going to get into some. I'm going to try to keep it from being detailed. I'm just going to give you the general overview. But I used to go to the bathroom once a day, maybe twice. I'm having to go like 5 times a day now. This is a problem. I never feel like I'm done.
Which is a sign of colon cancer. And they're saying that colon cancer is happening to people at younger and younger ages now. They've already lowered the screening to the age of 45. So because of these symptoms I'm having, also I had blood after I went one time or a couple of times. It hasn't been consistent, but there's still, I don't know, I still wonder. So yeah, and I've had a lot of stomach pain. Every time I eat something, I get indigestion, IBS, whatever you could call it, I guess. I've had it for a while now, but it's gotten really bad lately. And so I'm feeling like I need to either get a colonoscopy or do Cologuard or something. My grandfather died of colon cancer. I think my grandfather and my grandmother, if I remember correctly. Maybe it was just my grandfather. I can't remember, but I think it was both my grandparents, really. So I'm highly at risk in all likelihood. And yeah, I haven't really been eating the right foods. So I'm getting really concerned here. And with that concern, I mean, you think I don't want to make this video to tell you about my health issues only, even though that's the reason why I'm making this video is because those issues have spurred me to think about the state of the world and the state of me at this point. And what's concerning is that, I wonder whether or not, I guess I feel like I've been getting a message from God lately, actually. Which is weird for me because I'm usually pretty atheistic, or not really atheistic, but I tend to err on the side of believing that, I always say I'm an agnostic, and I truly am an agnostic, but, a lot of times it's hard not to think that there's no one out there watching after you, and that it just things don't. I mean, I haven't had any serendipity come my way as a thanks from God, and that maybe I don't deserve it because I don't pray and I don't go to church. I don't really know. It's so hard to understand what's going on in the world. Should I believe in what the Buddhists say? Should I believe in Christianity? Should I believe in what the Muslims are saying? It's like, I don't know. I tend to err on the side of Christianity just because I like Jesus. I like what Jesus did. I like what he said. The Bible has good things written about him. There's probably good things that written about what Muhammad said, I'm sure, in the Quran that I don't know. And, Ganesh or whatever. I mean, from the Hindu religion, it's just, I don't know. I guess Jesus is just easy. I don't have to go read any of the biblical or the religious texts of the other religions. But anyway, so I feel like I've been getting a message from God because, for one, I'm having my health issues. For two, I been playing fantasy baseball. Believe it or not, this is my message from God. I was trying to get out of fantasy baseball. I had an American League team for about the first year. I split an American League team with a buddy of mine. Second year, and we won the first year, actually. We won $3,200 between us. That was nice. Ever since that win, which was hard to come by, I mean, we beat some pretty tall odds, and we won on like the last day. It was like a 3-way, 4-way tie for second place, or second, first, and depending on how the day went. The only reason why we won is because our opponent's starting pitcher got blown out, and so we won on that. It was pretty miraculous. So I don't know. Maybe I should have gotten out then, I suppose, because since then there's just been a constant wave of bad luck to me in the game of fantasy baseball. The year after, I was with my partner. We had a lot of injuries, a lot of players that didn't perform up to their standard. If you know fantasy baseball, this all makes sense. If you don't, I'm boring the hell out of you. But basically, we had a year with my partner where it was terrible. Then I was a year alone. That was an even more terrible year. In my mind, it's because my partner's luck wasn't there to bring us to a more normal level. And now I'm with a different partner. This is, I was ready to get out after the third year. I was like, this game is, I'd like, maybe I should be saying to myself, I'm not good at this game. We did win 1 out of 3 years, so that's not too bad in the world of fantasy baseball. But I was saying to myself, well, maybe this is a sign that I'm not supposed to be playing anymore. So I was ready to quit. And then my dad and his friend, old family friend, have a league that I was always sort of generally giving advice to. I wasn't paying as much attention to the National League. And I sort of gave him some advice. And after a while, one of the partners it was my dad and 2 friends of his were sort of the team sponsors. And my dad was never that into it, but he would give money because it was a good investment because they had won more seasons than they'd lost. They'd won 4 times, something like that, 4 or 5 times in the past. It's like a 20-year league, so it's been going on for a while. But 4 out of 20 isn't bad when there's 10 teams in the league. My dad always just paid in and would like to follow the scores and see what the players did. If you don't understand fantasy baseball, you'll have to look it up because I'm not going to go into detail in that explanation. So anyway, my dad's other 2 friends were the ones who were more into it, and they sort of worked together as a team. But one of my dad's 2 friends decided he was fed up with baseball. He was a Dodger fan, and the Dodgers sort of screwed the fans in Southern California after the chance to watch the last 2 years of Vince Scully, which is pretty much unforgivable. I mean, the Dodgers. I used to be a Dodger fan. And never again. I could tell you that they never won a championship for me. They went to a few playoffs, and I was a fan during the Rookies of the Year sensations of the early '90s: Piazza, Karros, Mondesi, Nomo. I don't know, was Karros Rookie of the Year? I think so. He got fed up with baseball and also decided that my dad's other friend was being a little too negative about the team. And my dad's other friend he likes to kvetch. I say that because he's Jewish. I don't know if I could say that, but so he dropped out, and my dad's friend. I've been very close with my dad's friend for a long time. He's basically been like pseudo uncle. My dad was friends with his brother, very best friends with his brother originally, and now it's one of his best friends now. After his brother died, his brother was gay, and died of AIDS, unfortunately, when I was about 7 years old. So this is the brother of that guy who died, and we've been family friends for a long time. And my dad's friend, the family friend, is like in his early 70s now. 73, I think it is. So, and he has diabetes, and he's trying to keep the weight down. But he's doing a pretty good job of it too, really, actually. It's pretty impressive, but it's always a struggle because he likes to eat like me and my dad like to eat. And I thought, if I got a little more into the fantasy baseball and, put in a little bit more money into the team, that he and I could, bond over, drafting a team and talking about strategy. And we talk a lot more because we have a team than we ever did. That was the whole reason why I wanted a team, so that I could, spend more time talking to my dad's friend. I was hardly giving him enough calls, really. And he's a good guy, funny guy. So we drafted a team together this year and put a lot of time into it, spent a lot of time on the phone, and everything is going wrong. Everything is going wrong. I don't know if basically we have one player who was supposed to come back in April, and now he still isn't back now. He's gimpy now. That's the second baseman for the Nationals, Daniel Murphy. We had, we have all these. We had this young prospect who hit 20 homers last year and 100 and something at bats, and he looked like a star of the future. And that's Rhys Hoskins, and he's only hit 6 home runs and he's hitting 230. I could go on, but there's about 6 or 7 cases of bad luck. One of our pitchers just got out, just came back. He was a phenom coming up through the minors, and he strained his lat, his first pitching performance back. There's a lot, and he'll be out for another month. There's just so many stories like this. We got 2 guys who were young, up-and-coming prospects, and they hit under 200. And one of them is pretty much benched, and the other one is still hitting under 200, and they're giving him every chance in the world to succeed, and he's just not. And, I could go on and on. It's really hard to understand unless you pay attention to the day by day. We've had so many days where our team collectively has hit under 150 batting average for the day. In all the years I've had before this, all the other fantasy teams I had, never did I have a team that was this bad for this long. And, I like to consider myself relatively adept at statistical analysis. I know what stats to look for. I'm not an idiot. We did win. I did win a year, 3 years ago with my fantasy baseball roommate. With my roommate, we had a team together. I actually helped my roommate draft a team this year, and that team is in first place at the moment. So it's not like I have no idea. But for some reason, I helped him draft his team. He's not going to give me any money from that. I just wanted to be there and help him out. But for some reason, when my money's on the line, I've just been cursed the last 3 years. This year, last 2 years and so far this year, absolutely cursed. Everything that could go wrong has gone wrong. I had Miguel Cabrera last year, to give you an idea for you people who know baseball. He had the worst season of his career after having really not one bad fantasy season before that. I had Rougned Odor, Jonathan Lucroy. If you look these people up, you'll see that I got royally dicked last year. Zach Britton, I had him. I had every bust. I had every injured player. I had everybody who declined. And it's all happening this year, double what it did last year. And it's at the point where it's just daily there's new bad news. Daily somebody else gets injured. Daily, the competition for our guys play well. It's just one amazing, supposedly coincidental failure after another. And I'm starting to think that maybe I'm getting a message from God that I shouldn't be playing fantasy baseball.
And just to give you another example why I think this is. One day our team started out, I think it was like 0 for 5, and we'd had a lot of these days where we start out, all the batters aren't getting hits and all their at bats. That's what that means when you say one number and the other. And my dad's friend, my teammate, said, "I'll bet you we go 0 for 15 before we get a hit." And we joked around about it. All we do is talk about how bad our team is and how we expect it to just be, to everything to go wrong. We keep coming up with funny scenarios where everything can go wrong. And what do you know? Our team went 0 for 15, and on the 16th at bat, one of our guys did hit a home run. But because he got it exactly right, 0 for 15, and then our guy hits a home run, which seems meaningful in itself. There was a guy on CBS this morning who believed in this concept of God winks, where God, for some reason, can't reveal himself to you entirely. So he'll give you little snippets of things that would seem like coincidences, and which science would describe as coincidences, but are so unlikely, so improbable that it's hard not to take them as a sign. And if you knew what our team has gone through this year, I mean, I have Luis Castillo. It's just a last name I'm going to add on it. Luis Castillo was supposed to be an ace pitcher this year. Had never had bad numbers in his entire career, and now he's getting torched by everybody. Just hit a grand slam off him today. I mean, anyway, enough of that talk. Everything is going wrong. And when my dad's friend got that 0 for 15 on the money, I'm like, this could be a God wink right here. And it's not a logical, rational way to think. But the reason why I bring it up is this, finally getting around to my point. Along with that, I see, getting back to the Christian biblical prophecy, or supposed potentially a prophecy. We're getting into a time where, where there's some parts of Revelation, the book of Revelation, that seem prescient at this time. Donald Trump, I think, does think he's God, or wants to think he's God in some ways, and I don't know if he'll ever literally stand in front. I think a lot of the stuff is meant to be metaphorical, but I guess really, there's really not a lot of. I worry about this country. I mean, we are at an unprecedented state with people sort of believing in. There's sort of people are sort of going back to the ideology that gave you Hitler. It gave you. It's not exactly that intense. Obviously, I don't think Donald Trump is going to murder millions of people, but I think he would love to be dictator for life, certainly, if he had the power to do that. You could say that about a lot of guys, I guess. But there's just a certain negativity that's been happening. People have a lot of hate lately. They hate black people. They hate liberals. They hate immigrants, and people are suffering. They're not making the money. Inequality is getting out of hand. All Trump has done is make that inequality even more present, or even more. Has only embellished the inequality, I guess you could say. Maybe not embellished. It's not the right word. He's only made things more unequal. There we go. It's always sad when I try to sound intelligent and then I use the wrong word. It's just bad. But anyway, so yeah, we're I don't know. We're reaching sort of a point of no return here. I've mentioned this before. I still think that peak oil, I think, is going to be a problem eventually. You'll see the prices of gas are getting pretty high. And at some point, I think they're still going to shoot through the roof, and that's when the war will start, is my belief. And or the wars, or the World War III, I guess you'd say. There's a lot of aggression. There's a lot of hostility. There's a lot of people thinking that the way to solve problems is to do it by force, by being a bully. Very aggressive, masculine, macho style of governance, I guess, and even of just there's a certain survival of the fittest mentality happening now. You watch commercials, and commercials are more and more focused on that alpha male belief that you need to rise to the top, that average isn't good enough, that if you're not moving forward, you're moving backward, stuff like that. A lot of commercials like that, they drive me crazy, especially these I think they're like maybe they're GM commercials or Cadillac, I can't remember. I mean, every company is doing it now. There's this sort of hyper aggressive, hyper competitive thing going on that only represents these kind of deluded wealthy people who don't really understand the consequences of their actions, don't understand the consequences of their profit making, aren't really considering anything but adding to their profit margin. Win at all costs mentality. That's what's going on with Trump too. Trump believes in winning at all costs. It doesn't matter how you do it. You lie, you cheat, you steal. You just win. And people are sort of adopting this philosophy, and not just in America, but in Europe. I mean, at least there's a strong, I guess the word, it's like they call it alt-right. There's a strong racist faction. There's a strong intolerant faction that's growing in the world. And, this kind of sentiment hasn't existed since the days of the Nazis, pretty much. And it's not as bad as that yet, but you never really know what's going to happen, Donald Trump wants to have military rallies the way Hitler had military rallies, and so do some of these other, despotic leaders like Putin and Kim Jong-un, and so I don't know. Maybe this is very conspiratorial, obviously. Maybe things aren't. It just seems that way. But the other reason why I think about it is because I'm having moments within myself where, because I feel like I might be dying. I don't know that. I have to have the test done, but I've been dragging my feet on getting the test done because I'm afraid to find out the truth, number one. And number two, it's unpleasant getting a colonoscopy. As anyone will tell you that's had one, I'm sure. It's not that unpleasant, but the prep process is a literal pain in the ass. But as I'm thinking about my own mortality, I realized that as I've been tested by God in the world of fantasy baseball, you have to understand that the world of fantasy baseball is all I have left to cling to for the idea that maybe I could succeed at something. I'm too old to really be much of a success at anything that would give me any glory in life. I've never had glory in life. I've been chasing glory in life, ever since I was in grade school. And, just to build some self-esteem, because I have my self-esteem took a major beating when I was in school. And from that point forward, I always wanted to say, hey, look, I'm not what you think I was. I'm not some punching bag for you to, prop yourself up and put me down. I'm not the loser everyone thinks I am. But I am the loser everyone thinks I am. At this, when you get to, I'm 38 years old. I just turned 38. Maybe it was like last week. And I have nothing to show for it. I've said that in previous videos, and it continues to be the case. And at this point in my life, there's really not a lot you can do to get glory. Your glory days tend to be in your 20s and 30s. There's some things you can do for some amount of respect in the world once you get to be my age, but your chances to do something remarkable or, something that will basically make
members of the opposite sex be impressed with you, which is kind of the key thing, have diminished to very little. Um, I wanted to do something great, and I haven't put in the effort to do that because for the last, maybe 8 years, 9, 10 years, probably about 10 years, I felt like I'd gotten past the age where I could be what I wanted to be. Young. It's really kind of hypocritical because what I wanted to be was what they tell you to be on the. Maybe it's not hypocritical. Maybe it's just monkey see, monkey do. But I want to be that asshole, that arrogant bastard that they show on the TV commercials that drives the big car because he worked harder and achieved his goals but deep down I know that that's a pretty empty fantasy in reality. I think when most people achieve their goals and their kind of big dreams, a lot of them say they realize when they get there and they're like, "Is this all there is?" And I think that's because it's kind of misguided to always be chasing something else, to not be satisfied with what you have. I believe that's what God would tell us, that we should be satisfied with what we have. But I'm not satisfied. I resent people's success. I resent that people didn't have to have the negative experiences that I had in high school, and so that they don't understand that the reason why I am where I am, it's partially my fault, but it's also, I think, largely a product of some very unfortunate genetics of mine, or not really genetics, but a genetic accident that happened when I was born, and the resulting kind of lack of acceptance that I got when I was in grade school. So, I guess I don't know what I'm trying to say here. I suppose I'm just saying that lately I've just been resenting God for where I've been. And I don't know, maybe he doesn't deserve it. Maybe it's all on me. But, at this point in my life, I just want to win something. And I wanted that thing to be at least fantasy baseball. That's really the only thing I can win at this point. The only way I can feel like a winner is to win at fantasy baseball. And sure, it's going to be a fleeting thing. Even if I won, I'd make, whatever, a couple $1,000 or maybe $1,500, something like that. Last time I'd be splitting it with my dad and my dad's friends. It wouldn't even be, $1,500. It would probably be somewhere in the range of $700 to $800. It's, the money isn't really the thing. It's more the pride of winning. Although the money helps because I don't have a lot of money coming in at the moment. But I'm being denied that. I'm being denied my only chance to win. In my mind, anyway, in the modern world. The only things I could do, to win would be, develop a career using something that was my skills, related to something that I was skilled at. But, the only skill I really have is my ability to write. I can write pretty well. And it's hard to get work as a writer. I mean, I don't think I have a book in me. And there's not a lot of people hiring journalists these days. And, if you can start a blog, but then you have to be very kind of self-motivated and do a lot of marketing for yourself. And I hate the idea of doing marketing and pushing my name out there, pushing myself on other people. I don't want to do all that. I don't want to be another selfish person, just trying to make money, forcing you to listen to my opinion. This is why I keep all my videos free, because I don't feel like I have the right to charge you. If you want to hear what I have to say, then come and listen to what I have to say. But, I don't want to help some company sell whatever they're selling now, cars or, baby wipes or whatever. I'm anti-corporate. I'm anti the way the world is going. I'm anti-consumerism. I can see we're headed in a bad direction. And it's hard for me to motivate myself to earn money doing anything when I know that I'm not really part of the solution. I'm just part of the problem.
and that even just living, you know. But anyway, that was a tangent. Basically, what I'm saying is that I find myself angry at God because He won't let me win at fantasy baseball. And it's really a little silly, but it just feels like I'm so targeted, given how many times how many amazing coincidences of bad luck have happened since this year has begun. That you know, I find myself cursing Him in my mind for putting me through this, for not allowing me one chance to win in life. You know, win at something. Win at the only thing that matters to me anymore. You know, I'm not excited about anything else. It's delusional. Sports is delusional. Sports means nothing. It's all designed around selling the same crap that you know, talks about setting your goals and being an alpha male and all that. And that's probably why I'm losing, because you know, if I were to believe in God, I'd say God was trying to push me away. And that was this guy Charlemagne the God was on Bill Maher, and he says God doesn't really push you into things so much as He pushes you away from things that you shouldn't be doing. And you know, that's the feeling I'm getting from my gambling on fantasy baseball. You know, obviously gambling is not an approved activity in the Bible. And you know, I feel like I've been getting messages too. I went to Europe and with my dad and my aunt last summer, not this, 2017, and I saw all these pictures of you know, people sitting around playing cards, gambling, dancing. You know, it seems like fun to me, but all the gist of these pictures was, you know, these people are going to hell because they're wasting their time. You know, they're not working in the service of God. They're, you know, passing their time away on frivolous things that don't matter. And it's gotten me to thinking, you know, that's what's really hard. Is it's you know, maybe this is a message from God, but it just seems like, you know, I mean, are people supposed to go to Africa and get Ebola helping to save people? You know, is that the requirement to be, you know, if there was a God and if He was judging your mortal soul? You know, is that what He wants from you, to go be a missionary or build houses or do all those things? I mean, I'm sure it doesn't hurt to do that, but you put yourself into such harm's way, and the difference you make is such a drop in the bucket. And you know, according to Christianity, the world ends in fire and brimstone anyway. Everyone dies, gnashing of the teeth, suffering, as I've mentioned in other videos. So it's like, why bother doing this stuff, you know? I don't know. It's like, if you can't make a real difference in the long term, then what, are you just doing it so you can clear your name? Is that the whole thing? You know, is that what life is about, clearing your name in Christianity? I don't know. I like to think that by being a nice person and trying to minimize my footprint on the planet, that, and you know, and trying to participate as little as possible in consumerism, that, you know, I'd like to believe that's enough. But it's not really proactive. You know, a lot of people believe that you have to, as the Shakers believe, you know, hands to work, hearts to God. A lot of religious people think it's important you have to work, you know, and you work for. But these days, you know, you work for God, and you're not getting paid for it. You're doing it out of love. You're doing it from your heart, and that's a wonderful thing. Except that you got to survive. You know, you have to survive in the world and get that sort of thing done. And to survive, you have to work a job that's, you know, while you're doing the missionary work, the job you're doing is helping to destroy, you know, the future, because most jobs lead to economic growth, and economic growth leads to resource depletion. So it's kind of like, what am I supposed to do? Save up a bunch of money and then do God's work? You know, what about all the harm I did by saving up a bunch of money and contributing to a unsustainable way of life? I don't know. Maybe it's just excuses, but it's just kind of hard to understand. You know, I just wonder, and basically, since I've been going back and forth in my mind between being angry at God, you know, I've said some nasty things to God in my mind, and even texted them to other people. You know, I think I called God a bastard, and
said that he was treating me like a little kid treats an ant with a magnifying glass. And other stuff like that, just sort of giving him the finger, or giving him it, whatever you want to say, giving it the finger. Sort of having images of myself slapping a version of him in the flesh of it. I go to him. I know I shouldn't, but it's probably not gendered. But anyway, so yeah, it's like I find myself being tested the way they say you're going to be tested, and they say everyone's being tested in the Book of Revelation. That you feel the pull from the satanic forces, and you feel the pull from a higher calling, and it's hard for me to fully come down on God's side, because it just seems like it's hard for me to accept the unfairness of the world, that we have to kill living animals to eat, or if we don't, you can be a vegetarian, but then you're killing plants. You're always killing something in order to keep yourself alive. It's such a dog-eat-dog world. So many people have found so much success who are such bad people. And there's always this explanation that after you die, there's going to be some kind of, evening, the judgment of your soul and all that. But it's hard for me to imagine that I'm still going to be me. I think they say, if you are judged well, then you become close to God. And there's no specific description of this. So it's almost like you just become like some sort of floating spirit energy that's sort of like vibrating with the great oneness or whatever. That's how I imagine it anyway. And that you get to vibrate a little more close to the center of the vibrating mass, Somehow that feels good, even though you're just a soul, This is where it gets ridiculous, How much are you really you, now that you're just some floating whatever the hell you are, soul energy? You don't look like yourself. You don't have the memories that your brain stored. I don't think there's some cosmic memory. I really don't. If there was cosmic memory, I'd remember previous lives. And I don't believe in any of this hypnotism for past life stuff. That's just a bunch of hooey. Everything that defines you goes away after you die. Your body defines you, your mind defines you, your sense of humor defines you, your way of being defines you, and you have no being once you just become some floating nothing. So how can it be such a great incentive, the idea that after you die you'll go up and float and be with the oneness? It's just so abstract that it's hard to believe that living in that way is going to be worthwhile, especially when you see so many bad people who are living high on the hog on this earth, and it's it's just hard seeing those people living as well as they do, given the destruction they're going to eventually have wrought. So it's just, this has really gone to hell at the end of this video, but I've gone on too long, so I have to finish this. But basically, I'm feeling tested. I'm feeling the pull of good and evil, regardless of what book that's from or what religion. And it makes me wonder whether it could all be true. We're approaching the Judgment Day. The world's becoming a scary place. I think a lot of people see it. A lot of people understand that things are not normal. That there's a lot of hate around there right now. With the school shootings, you got the fires raging. There's always more fires. California wildfires. Polar ice cap is melting. Whether or not you people understand, it's a matter of ice thickness. You got to look up ice thickness. That's one of the important concepts with the ice caps melting. It's not so much about area coverage. It's about the thickness of the ice.
The temperatures are varying wildly. Every time I watch a nature show, some other animal is getting is being wiped out. Pretty much every nature show, they're talking about how almost every nature show, whatever animal they're featuring is being wiped out somehow. The oceans are losing their coral. I mean, the usual drill. Still, I don't know about the rainforest anymore. I'm sure there's less rainforest every year. Corporations are gaining more power. The wealthy are gaining more power. People are becoming more desperate. Jobs are being given to machines that were once gone to people. We live a more virtual life. We don't really exist in the real world anymore. Half the time we're looking at our phones or a computer or this camera right now. Artificial intelligence is coming. There's a lot of really scary trends. And you wonder how long this is going to go on for. And I feel like I'm being tested by God. I guess that's pretty much it. I'm scared. I don't know how much time I have left on this earth, and I'm worried it's not going to be as long as I had originally expected, and I'm not really doing much I'm so depressed and feel so powerless, and like there's very little I can do to turn my situation around. Life is hard enough as it is when I'm eating the food I want to eat. To have to sort of sacrifice the only joy in my life, which is dinner and breakfast occasionally. I don't usually eat lunch. Maybe some lunch. And have to sacrifice that joy and figure out something productive to do at my age is a daunting challenge that I don't think I'm up to, It's not going to make me happy. It's just going to feel like doing it for the sake of redeeming myself, and I feel like I've become irredeemable. And I'm losing my hair. Look at that. Look at this shit right there. Unbelievable. You believe that? I'm going to try bicking it next. I'm going to see what I look like with the full-on bald biker look. It's not going to be me, but I'm kind of curious. Anyway, so yeah, I'm really concerned. I'm sorry this video was so long. I guess I'll keep you updated on my health, and I wanted to make another video about communism pretty soon. Hope you're all doing better than me. I would say hang in there, but I don't know what for. Brace yourselves, I guess.